first met Diamond Johnson backstage at the Kid Laroi concert a few months ago, and I was blinded by his light. I thought to myself, who is this young man, and what does he do? Turns out, he was the musical director of the concert that was about to descend upon an audience of thousands at the Los Angeles Palladium. Diamond Johnson has accomplished so much in his young 25 years. He's worked with the best, and his star is on the rise. So I sat down with him to discuss his life, his career, and what's coming next. Hi.
Hi.
I love life. You know why?
Why is that?
Because I think of things, and I desire things, and then they happen.
Yeah.
And I knew when I first met you at the Kid Laroi concert, I thought, this seems like a really happy person.
Yes,
and I like
am.
that.
I am happy, yeah.
And I wanted to know more immediately.
I don't know how interesting I think my life is because I'm living it every day.
Right.
But when I start talking,
You
after I
realize
get
all of
done,
the
I'm
things.
like, my life's pretty cool.
I'm feverishly interested in people.
Yeah.
But also, you know, really what they come from and what formed them.
Right.
So I always know, and the angels always know, the first question I ask is, did you always know that you would be here? And if so, at what point did you realize?
So I come from a very Christian home. So growing up in church, you know, you kind of think, oh, that's my natural path that I'm going to go is like, you know, be a pastor. Or I always felt on the inside that I would be doing great things, but I never knew it would be like this or going this direction.
But you knew you were destined for greatness.
Yeah, I kind of believed it in my soul, in my gut, you know? And you hear it enough, you start to believe it as well. So other people would say that, and people would meet me as like, man, that kid's gonna do great things.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like a manifestation of things I was told when I was younger. So,
Did that give you a pressure?
you know, at first it did, for sure, because you're thinking, you know, you're a little kid and you're being told by all these adults that you're gonna do all of these incredible things, and it's like, where do I start? You know, how do I get there?
And what is it?
Yeah,
that I'm gonna do?
what is it?
Right.
I spent a lot of time being curious when I was younger, like, what the heck am I gonna do? I'd say around 18, 19 is when it turned, when I really started to hone in on things that, you know, was in my gut.
So you were born and raised in Kansas City.
Born and raised in Kansas City.
Did you grow up in a musical family?
Yes, on both sides as well.
So was music in the church?
Music in the church, music in the home as well. My mom sung, my dad, he sung as well. And I was getting, you know, a big music experience at a young age.
At what point did you realize that you had to leave Kansas City in order to pursue your dream?
So that's that's a heavy one, because that kind of goes into all of the other things that I said that took place before my epiphanies and realizations at 18, 19, 20. There was this series of amazingly interesting events that took place. I had a little following on Facebook. I was posting drum videos. I actually started traveling when I was like 15. I got my feet wet with this group called Ronnie and Amy. They were like a brother and sister duo, a Christian Latin music band.
Wow.
And I was traveling with them for a little bit. And then I got like my first professional experiences at 17 with a rock band called Beautiful Bodies. We did two US tours, Canada,
So
two
you were
European
touring
tours.
at 16, 17 years old.
Barely graduated high school because of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then you came to LA.
Then I came to LA.
And you were 17.
It was 3 years ago. I was 22.
Oh, okay. And how did your family feel about you leaving Kansas City?
I think they were really supportive because my career kind of alluded to the things that I'm doing now. So it wasn't just like
I'm leaving with a pie in the sky idea.
Exactly.
And then did you start from scratch here in LA?
Kind of.
How did you get to where you are now?
Yeah. Listen, I always believe in honoring the people that, you know, help you along the way.
Yeah.
I had an incredible mentor for the time. We're not close anymore. But the things that I learned from him were priceless. And when you say start from scratch, I'll never, you know, make it seem like, you know, like the Drake song, started from the bottom, now we're here.
Right.
So I had to connect that, you know, he took out the time to teach me a lot of things and
And was it the drumming that gave people the awareness of you?
Yes.
Mostly? Because I know you're involved in all aspects of putting music together, and now you're doing musical directing for the Kid Laroi. And
Yes.
I'm curious about that, because I don't really, and I know most people don't really know what that means.
Right.
Is it musical directing each of his songs, or is it musical directing the show that he puts together?
The whole show. So any live aspect, anything that goes on from the band aspect, the music portion, it has to go through me. That's my job.
Amazing.
My job is to make sure that the show is smooth from start to finish.
How do you make that jump from being a drummer to being a musical director?
So I'm an extremist. When I was in Kansas City, what's funny, my only goal was to come out to LA and be a big drummer. That's it, like a big drummer, and start my business. So I was like, you know what? Let me prepare like a drummer. So I used to put together shows in Kansas City so I could practice to them and be prepared for when an MD calls me.
See, amazing. I love that.
I'd take songs, I'd rearrange the songs on my computer or whatever.
Like you knew where you were going,
Yeah.
and you were taking the steps that you felt comfortable with taking so that you would be prepared.
Yes.
That's what we were just talking about,
Yes.
right? Having opportunities,
Right.
but being prepared for the opportunities.
And little did I know that me putting those shows together, preparing for a call from an MD, was actually making me, molding me into
a
a
part
music
of you knew
director.
that probably, which is why you were doing it, right?
Because that wasn't my goal, to be a music director.
So your goal was to be like the best drummer in the world.
Yeah, I just wanted to play drums. I was cool in that lane.
And who is your idol that way?
Brian Fraser Moore, that was a big one. He was actually one of the drummers that I saw playing with Christina Aguilera at the time. It was like, what a girl want. Like, he was just, the crowd was screaming,
You're like, I have to do that.
Oh yeah. He was actually one of the drummers that I saw that I understood, you can make money
as a drummer.
I was like, man, I was gonna do this stuff for free for the rest of my life. Like, I could live off of this,
How amazing is it that you are 25 years old?
Yes.
And you make your living with your passion.
Right.
How did you come to work with Tito Jackson?
I actually got the call through an industry friend of mine, Torn. I met him through my friend Matt. He's a bass player out here, and he told me to come to this bar. And so I went to the bar, I saw him and Torn playing, and it was like this duo. My thing is, I love creating genuine, solid relationships.
Yeah.
And so if it turns into something cool, if it doesn't, you have a good...
I get that about you.
A good friend, yeah?
Yeah, totally.
So we sit down after their set, and we're eating, and Matt's like, yo, you gotta meet my guy Diamond. And about a week and a half later, after a couple of encounters with him, he was like, yo, man, I got this gig, and I think you're the guy for it. And I was like, okay, what's up? And he said, originally it was supposed to be Tito Jackson and Stevie Wonder in the music video. So he called, he was like, yeah, I got a Tito and Stevie gig. And I was like, Tito and Stevie who? Like, I met you a week ago, who is this? And he was like, Jackson and Wonder, of course.
Wow.
And so I call him, because I'm still like, this has to be a joke.
Right.
And so I called him and I was like, listen, man, I'm grateful for the opportunity, but what made you call me? And he was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. You got the look, and I connected with you on a personal level, and you can really play. And so, for these castings in the music video, I was joking with you about my Rihanna Fenty skincare routine. I was like, okay, it's coming in handy. So
Totally. It's a lot of things that make people get to where they want to go.
Yes.
And I think a lot of it with you too is your great energy.
Thank you.
And your gratitude and the way you kind of are. I mean, we connected immediately, and you stayed connected.
Yes,
and
for sure.
Your heart is in the right place.
The follow-up is the key.
I know.
It's like we met at the Palladium, and I'm like, I got to follow up. I got to come.
Yeah,
see.
and you followed up, and we followed up with each other,
Yeah,
and now we're sitting here. How do you manage your schedule to include, time for yourself, time for a love life, you know, time for just private time.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching you on social media and I'm like, you're all over the place. I mean,
Yeah.
you are constantly in motion. You know, it's like the momentum of a career. You know, you got to keep it going. You have to keep feeding the beast, you know?
Feeding the beast, right?
So, I mean, is that something that's easy for you?
You know, allocating personal time for myself. I like to do that in the morning and at night. I live by my calendar, and I like to, you know, take times when I can. During the daytime, it's pandemonium. I had to tell Brayton before we started shooting, I was like, listen, if this person calls me, tell them this. If this person texts me, tell them this, please. You know, it's ways around it. As far as love life, me and my girl are very private. I do have a. Oh, you do? I got a woman way over town.
See, I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's good to me, Ray Charles.
When you're on the road and you're working with the Kid Laroi, somebody calls you to work on something else. Are you able to work on other things? Or are you committed to that? Or can you do a session with another artist, or is it full commitment?
Everything is negotiable. Everything is a deal that could be formed. And so, in regards to my career, I'm not tied to anything. I consider myself a independent artist. But when it comes to the commitment, I am a, you know, committed person to projects that I'm working on. You know, it's a great opportunity, and I definitely want to do as much work with the camp as possible. But I mean, if I have time, or if we're not working, I'm free to do other things. Like, we just got done, you know, doing the Hollywood Bowl.
What did you do at the Hollywood Bowl? Did the Kid Laroi perform there? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, the Kid Laroi performed there. You guys will be able to see on my Instagram or whatever if you guys follow me. But yeah, we did the Hollywood Bowl, 20,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that his biggest audience so far?
No, I think he did like 100,000 people in Europe.
Wow.
These are festivals, by the way.
Right.
These are multiple artists on the ticket, but yeah, it was a lot of people, and I'm just really grateful for these types of experiences.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how is your family around your success?
Oh, they're so proud. Yeah. I mean, I told my mom, because when I've considered myself stubbornly determined. So when I locked my mind into this is what I want to do, you know, for my life, I went to my mom and I was like, listen, I'm not going to do the college thing. And she was like, yo, like.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. She's like, what do you mean you're not going to do the college thing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, trust me, like, I know it's going to be, you know, difficult.
Right.
But I've seen enough of the industry to understand what path that I need to tackle, you know, head first. And I'm grateful that she trusted me enough to allow me to do that without too much pushback.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, as a parent, you kind of have to go, oh, are
Right.
you sure?
Right. And I understood. I'm like, I already know how much this means. Like, we've been talking about it. And there was a couple schools that were, you know, a couple music and arts schools that I was looking into that were looking at me. But I was like, nah.
You're already doing it. Why do you need the you know?
I was already doing it. And the type of connections that I was making, college, it just wasn't going to provide that for me.
You're starting to do talks on the music industry.
Yes.
Tell me about that, and what is the message there, and why are you wanting to talk about the music industry to young people?
There is so much that could change in regards to the music industry. From me being on the inside, you have people that have made a lot of money off of music that don't really care about the art. And for me, I care wholeheartedly about this intangible, you know, product that creates this whole multi-billion, almost trillion-dollar industry that's in this world now. And there's so many pockets of underserved creatives in the community. And I want to be the person that serves those people.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you'll get out and talk to groups?
Well, I'm less of a talker. I'm more of a, I take that back. I talk a lot. But like I told you, you know, I'm private. I'm really private. And so I like to talk with my actions. I like to really show what can be done. And, you know, with me being 25 and not being a billionaire yet, and or as famous as I project my career to have me be one day, you know, it's harder to really get people to see what I'm trying to get them to see.
Right.
And so I feel like this is just the action period of my life, you know?
Amazing.
I gotta do a lot, a lot of work. So, yeah.
What do you see for the next couple of years?
I see myself doing, maximizing the gift of drums and eventually phasing out to doing business full time. I'm always gonna play drums, but as far as playing because I have to, playing to do business, playing to network, playing to do whatever, I project maybe the next 7 years.
See, you strike me as somebody who has an equal balance of the business smarts and the creative part.
Yeah.
Which a lot of artists and creative people don't have.
Right.
So and you have to be so smart on how you deliver your message creatively.
Yeah.
You
The business side kind of blindsided me because up until 5 or 6 years ago, it was only going to be music. I didn't care to do anything else. It was just music, it was just drums specifically. And I watched this movie called, it was the McDonald's, The Founder. Have you seen the movie?
I haven't.
It's called The Founder.
I heard it's great.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
And it's about the
how McDonald's got
yeah,
started
their,
and
their
how
journey.
Yeah.
And so I was watching it one day in my room, and everything just kind of hit me all at once, because they were talking about in the movie, like, owning the land. McDonald's is more of a real estate company. So owning the land that you sell your product or service on, and how, it changes everything, how you can do business in a different way. And so, I actually had the idea for my company right before the movie, but the movie made everything make sense. And so, it was just one of those things where I was like, oh, well, maybe this is something, I can dive into a little bit more. And eventually I started to love it just as much.
Amazing. That's
if
amazing.
not a little more than music.
Yeah.
Even though it's still attached to music, maybe that's why I love it so much, is because it still is attached to my first love. But
as you're talking, I keep flashing your mother, so I'm not really sure what that is. She's a businesswoman?
Yes, actually. I guess you could consider her that.
Tell me about your relationship with your mom.
My relationship with my mother is very special, because she is definitely a mom that moms. She moms a lot, and so, but I'm her only child, and the thing about our relationship is that, here we go, I'm about to go deeper with you. You're bringing it out of me,
I know,
Antoinette.
it's, as soon as you mentioned mother.
Yes, right.
It'll go either way.
Yeah, you're bringing it out of me, but I'm gonna go there.
Okay, good.
Me and my mother were actually homeless for a period of time. And so if you think about the space, like if you take the back of my chair and maybe to where that camera is, and where from here to maybe this mark on the floor was a room that we slept in after sleeping in our car.
Wow.
For a few weeks. And so one of our
How
cousins,
old were you?
I don't even remember. I had to be like 12 or 11 or 12, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was a lot happening at once. My grandmother got married. We were living with my grandmother.
She got married and you guys had to leave?
Yeah, she got married. And what happened was, she got married and moved to Texas. We were supposed to move to Nashville. That was the thing. So it wasn't like, neglect or lack of preparation.
Right, it was just circumstantial.
Yes, the people that we were supposed to move with in Nashville, it didn't work out. And so we had to sneak and stay a few nights that we weren't supposed to be at my grandmother's house after she was already gone. And then we had to wake up early and leave so we could get in the car, go shower at my Aunt Tweet's house. I remember that. And that's my grandma's sister, so great aunt, but my Aunt Tweet's house, and go back to the car. And then that lasted for a few days.
What were you feeling as a child about that? Or you just like go along with the program when you're a kid? Were you feeling like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like displaced, shame, whatever?
I received so much love from my mother that I didn't know the difference. My mind was always on music. It was always on playing drums, going back to church so I could see people that, that we've, fellowshipped with. And my mind was never really on that. And actually, after the couple weeks in the car, I felt so bad as a kid, not for myself, but for my mother.
Right.
Because, we'd be in a parking lot somewhere and I would hear her, turn over to the side in the driver's seat, crying. Like she felt so bad. And so, I would roll over, I just pray for my mom. And then when we got to my cousin's house that let us stay in that small, space with one bed, I would pray. I would say my prayers at night, and I say, God, I thank you for my amazing life. And I hear my mom start crying, and I'm like, I'm praying, I'm trying to cheer you up. What you crying for, Like, my life is amazing. Like, you make sure I have food and clothes, and, that's all I wanted as a kid. And
but see, that's a human being that's lit from within.
Yeah.
And that's how you struck me when I first met you, and that's how you strike me now.
Thank you.
You have a sort of self-generating fire and light that keeps you in your gratitude.
Yes. Yes.
And that seems palpable.
Gratitude is key. I mean, I'm grateful for everything, and people ask me, how's your day? And I say, it's incredible. My day is amazing. And they're like, wow, something, awesome must have just happened to you. And I'm like, nah, I woke up and I'm breathing. Like,
right.
How can you not have an incredible
but
day?
That's something that, sounds so obvious.
Yeah.
But it's not obvious to most people.
Yeah,
That you're given this gift of breath and this gift of life, and, that's the gift.
Right.
That's the gratitude.
Yeah.
And everything else is just, icing on the cake.
Exactly.
I always say, even to my kids, you don't wait for the day to tell you how you feel.
Exactly.
So you have to tell the day how it's going to be.
Exactly.
So that's amazing. I love that, and I'm not that surprised at that.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anything really mystical happen?
Yes.
How did I know? That's not intuitive.
Right. Growing up in church and having a lot of spiritual people around you kind of cultivates this thing inside oneself. So there was a man that he pulled me to the side. It was the middle of a church service, and he said, he came up to me and he shook my hand, and he started crying when he shook my hand. And he was like, I don't know your name, I don't know your family, I don't know where you come from, but you're going to do incredible things, and I'm very honored to meet you at this moment in history before you do it. And then he starts going deeper into literally things that I was thinking about, during the week as kind of a confirmation that this was God speaking through him. Right. That was a powerful moment for me. But another one that happened was, you remember I told you about my mentor. When you look at the progression of my life, some of the things that I dealt with was kind of feeling unwanted by male figures in my life. I wasn't close to my dad. Now me and my dad are great.
Beautiful.
Really close with my dad. My uncles moved away. While me and my mom were going through, they moved to the East Coast. Yeah. And I love my uncles. We're cool. They didn't do anything. And so when I got cool with my mentor, I was like, oh, we locked in. As big brother, we straight. Right. And I'm kind of a people hoarder. So when that relationship was severed, I almost slipped into depression.
If we could talk about that for a second. And the only reason I think I want to talk about that is selfishly. I lock into people very closely. Yeah. And I open myself up. Because once I like you and I trust you, then I'm very revelatory, I'll share. Yeah. And when relationships get severed, and they don't happen very often to me, it's like it takes me a moment. Right. It's like I'm really get tripped up with that. Right. Sometimes what happens when you have relationships is, your energy and your frequency changes. You don't kind of vibrate at the same frequency, and there's no punishment. There's not a bad reason. Sometimes people fall away because they're meant to fall away, and sometimes they come back, and sometimes they don't. It caused me to almost teeter, like you said, into a depression about it. Yeah. But there's nothing to be done when people fall away, unless it's something that happens, but then you kind of say, okay, well, what was my contribution to that? Right?
For sure.
When that happens, how do you navigate that emotionally?
Well, first of all, disclaimer, I never go around gossiping, putting people down.
Right.
If people watch and it's like, he's the villain of this interview now, don't make anybody the villain.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't be here today without anybody helping me in life. But there's no real blueprint. I think it's having to take the time to do a pure introspective look on yourself and not blame other people. Because I think that's the downward spiral people get caught in, is like, oh, they should have done,
Or you blame yourself too. I mean, that's also not a great idea.
Yeah, it's not a great idea.
Because sometimes you don't know, well, I didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
It's just, it is, relationships come and go.
Right.
Some are lifers, some are for longer periods of time, and some are not.
Right. I'm a thinker, so
Yeah.
I like to resolve issues in my head. It's like, okay, what is this? Oh, this didn't work. Okay, let's cross that out.
Right.
Oh, this could have happened.
Like
Maybe
a true Gemini.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How did you know I was a Gemini?
I do my research.
Oh, my goodness.
Geminis are like the communicators of the zodiac.
Yes.
And they're like the newscasters.
Great to meet a fellow Gemini. That's
why
we clicked so fast.
Totally.
No, once I realized that there was nothing that could be done, and this is still tying into the mystical things that's happened question, by the way.
Right.
So when I came to realization that that relationship would be no more, you come to this place of acceptance. It's almost going through like stages of grief, because when I love hard, you know. It's like, yo, this is family, right? And so I came to a point of acceptance, like, oh, okay, like this is what I'm gonna do. I drove out into a field one night. This is the part where it gets mystical, and whether you guys believe me or not is up to you. But I sat on the top of my car. It was in North Kansas City by the airport. That's when my parents lived out there. I'm looking up at the sky and I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? Because at this point, the relationship was severed.
And he's your mentor.
Exactly. So I'm like, God, you're gonna have to like really show me, you know, what I need to do. And so I kept feeling like Los Angeles in my core. So I'm looking up to the sky and I'm like, yo, you're gonna have to give me a sign right now, because however you direct me, I'm gonna do it. And I kid you not, Antoinette, there is this like huge green flash coming from the sky. And I'm like, that's way too obvious. That is a movie. Like, what the heck? And I'm looking around for planes. I'm like, is my eyes watery? Like, you know, green light.
I love
flashing from the sky, and I'm like,
believe it.
That is my green light to go. And let me tell you, every week since I've moved has been sort of a validation of that moment of that night. When I moved out to LA, 3 days after I moved here. I believe in taking calculated risk as well. So I moved out here. There was this music event called the NAMM Show. It's a big trade show. And I ran into a big music director named Dammo Farmer. And he works with Beyonce, Jay-Z, you know, Usher, the list goes on and on and on, but those are to name a few, right? And literally that third day that I moved out here, he was like, yo, what are you doing out here? I'm like, I live here now. And he was like, oh man, I'm putting you on. We gotta work. I'm putting you on everything, because I wanna work with more good people. And so I'm telling you, from the moment of me having what I call a sign, or the sign, to move and you know, really take on these things and these gifts and maximize everything about myself, every week has proven that to be valid.
As I sit here, I think about my community, which are a lot of young people. And I always want to share with them the attitude and the kind of mindset of what's helpful to have, you know, as you're navigating life. And I get from you and I feel from you that it's just it's a light that you have inside of you that you are connected to all the time.
Yes.
And so everything that you look at, you know, you're looking at with that framework and that lens, you know, and so you recognize opportunities when you're presented with them, and you then, but then you also have the talent to meet that opportunity.
I like to consider myself connected with people more now than ever at this point as well, because everybody has a story.
Yes.
Everyone has, moments similar to mine where it may not have turned out like my life. It may have turned out worse, or it may have turned out better. I like to, take a step back and observe. I'm a big observer.
Yeah.
And really look at and appreciate other people. The highest level of confidence and the highest level of humility live in the same realm. The reason why is because I can walk into a room and say, I'm great at what I do. I'm an amazing person. I'm handsome. I'm funny, right? I can say all of these wonderful things about myself, but what keeps it in the category of confidence and not arrogance is me being able to say, Antoinette is talented. Antoinette is funny, and me being able to recognize everyone else's in the room capabilities and the greatness of everyone else.
That's beautiful.
The moment that I say I'm the only person that can get the job done is when it goes over to arrogance.
It's your confidence that allows you to actually be humble.
Right. Not the
So
other way
they do
around.
live in the same,
Yes.
in the same place.
They have to coexist for them to truly be maximized.
Right. I love how much compassion you have.
Yeah.
It seems like you're a very compassionate person.
I try to be.
I do too. I always think of the story, right? The stories that people have. And when we get triggered by people, which I'm from Brooklyn, I get triggered all the time.
Hey, we talking about Gemini
oh my
energy here.
God.
Yeah,
I do.
got the other side.
I notice
my twin.
myself, totally getting triggered about things, and I have to kind of go, wait a minute.
Right.
And then I go, okay.
Yes.
Let me look at what's happening here.
Right.
I've had too much coffee. This person is being this way, and maybe they haven't had a great day. Who knows what their story is?
Right.
But, it's like walk a mile in my shoes, and I definitely try to do that.
Yes.
I talk about this all the time. Is if they step over your boundary, then you also have to keep your boundaries and speak up for yourself. Right? So that's kind of an interesting line to walk.
Yeah, maybe you deal with this as well, but you kind of, you exude so much kindness and compassion that people are like, oh, well, maybe I can
walk over.
Yeah, maybe I can get over on you real quick. And then it's like, it switches. It's like, hold on now.
Well, don't mistake kindness for weakness.
Exactly.
Right? And you talked about a little while ago, a calculated risk.
Yes.
Tell me what that means.
I took that term from business people. Doing anything in life that's worthwhile, it's a risk. But you don't have to jump in blindly. You can take the blindfold off. You can say, oh, that's a lake, so it's most likely 50 feet deep, right? Okay. You can kind of calculate some things, even though it's still a risk. You can say, hey, let me put on a parachute just in case.
Right.
So that's my thing. It's not necessarily going into a situation with fear. It's going into a situation to say, hey, it has the possibility to not go the way I want. So what are the different routes that I can go to pivot if I need to?
If you need to.
Yeah.
To navigate it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you.
Ask me anything.
I want to ask you if you could talk to yourself as young Diamond, and you could parent yourself.
Trust yourself. Trust your gut, because Will Smith said something that I couldn't resonate with more, and that is nobody knows what you're supposed to be. Nobody. As much advice as people can give you, you still don't know until it is, So I would say trust your gut, network aggressively.
Right, because it's people business.
Yes, everything
is a people business.
Yeah. I think I was blessed with that at a young age, because I knew in my gut that college wasn't going to do, but I needed to aggressively network.
Right, in order to really,
do. So it's just things like that. Have a high level of gratitude. Gratitude is one of those other things that has definitely gotten me where I am.
It's like the special sauce.
And it's so simple. You would think everybody would know to do it, but it's as simple as, thank you. I'm grateful for you.
Yeah.
It's people love to be shown gratitude, especially when they go out of their way to do something for you. And my whole career has been that.
You could be really amazing at whatever you do, but if you're not easy to work with, if you're not kind, if you're aggressive.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you can't be all those things and still be super successful. God knows we have many examples of that. But it's a really, really important thing to be somebody who's easy to work with and who enjoys people.
Right.
Because that's that energy and vibe that we transmit with each other that feeds each other.
Right.
You know, I don't think I could live on an island by myself. I would be really, I like my alone time.
Yo, the pandemic, oh my gosh. Like,
yeah.
Me being in my apartment alone, you know, not working, like not doing what I came out here to do.
I wanted to know what you think about the pandemic and how you feel like it's changed you and changed the business and the world around you and how you're navigating all that now.
As far as the pandemic and navigating everything, it was the greatest, worst thing that ever happened to me because it ravaged the music industry. Mm-hmm. Completely decimated it. Yep. It was just nothing, right? Yep. Within a few months. What's crazy is I was on the plane back from Australia and I got the email to do this show with Usher in Texas. And I was like, yo, I was going nuts. Oh, if I talk about the calls that I've got, not the things that I've done, but the calls, it's crazy. But I don't talk about them. They're calls. They're calls. Yeah. But I got the email to do this show with Usher, and I was hyped. I was like practicing. I'm like, yo, I'm about to do all my crazy drum combos because Usher likes a more flamboyant drummer.
Right.
And so I'm on the plane, and then I get the email. The show is postponed.
So you like still had that like,
this
okay,
is the
it's just postponed. Yeah, happened to me too.
This show is postponed because of this virus. And I was like, man, but you know what, it's cool. We just gonna get back
so
to it.
quickly you adjusted? You were like, I can't believe this is happening, but you're like, okay.
No,
it'll come back.
I did not quickly adjust because that was, I talk about that one because that was the last call I got before the pandemic. The very last call. Before my world went to complete crap, I was supposed to play for Usher. It was very like world shaking, reality shaking.
Yeah, because your star's on the rise.
Oh yeah, I was on the up. Yeah. But like I said earlier, following my gut, something told me like, hey, just stay in LA. It was a world shaker for me, but I learned a lot about myself during that time.
Give us one thing you've learned about yourself during the pandemic.
I learned that I'm very strong. I learned how patient I could be.
Wow.
Taking that time to really do, a lot of introspective looking at myself it made me come out like a butterfly, I was a caterpillar pre-pandemic, but yeah.
I get it. I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for the pandemic because I was doing stand-up comedy. And then I just pivoted into this, which is really something I really enjoy. And when you're an artist, you're always hustling.
Right.
Somebody came to my door during the pandemic and they were talking about what a difficult time everybody was having. And she said, I'm an artist. She goes, this is just another day, I'm still hustling. You just figure out how to do things, But I definitely feel the same way. I got to see how strong I am. How do I make my money? And those are big things for most people who are just sort of 9-to-5ers and people who rely on other people to kind of give the structure, right?
Yeah.
Take away people's structure. It's like a fish out of water. They're like, what do I, what do I do? And you got to find your way closer back to the ocean, Are you ready for rapid fire?
Yes. I'm gonna try to give you a rapid answer.
Okay, rapid. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Michael Jackson or Prince?
Ooh, Prince.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Favorite day of the week?
Every day.
Favorite city in the U.S. besides the one you live in?
Oh, well, I live in L.A., so Kansas City.
Okay. Nickname your parents used to call you?
Not parents, but family, Ardeje.
Last song you downloaded?
Some song by a band that I don't know their name.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Every language.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to talk to animals.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Fill in the blank. Taylor Swift is?
Talented.
Good answer. At what age do you want to retire?
Never.
Invisibility or super strength?
Super strength.
Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
Yes, no.
Okay, and last thought of the day. I have a beautiful audience. What would you want to share about yourself that we haven't touched on today?
Can I look in the camera? Really just have the courage to believe in yourself. You can do and be any person and anything you want to do or be in life.
It's so beautifully, complexly simple.
Yes.
You're a very deep, introspective artist.
Yes.
You've achieved so much, so young. I can't even imagine, if I sat down with you in 20 years from now.
Let's do it.
I mean, totally.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
20 years from now, it's a date.
Thank you, Diamond Johnson.
For sure.
I appreciate you.
Likewise.
Thank you, angels.